This is the Kickin podcast where we talk all things women's rugby league.
And stories to inspire and entertain. Come kick it with us.
Welcome back to another episode of Kickin It. My name is Kiana Takairangi.
I am Corbin Baxter.
And we are your hosts. And we're very excited today because we have a very special guest here in the studio with us.
We do. She is an Olympic gold medalist, a Jillaroo 2021 joint Dally M medalist. She's the current New South Wales fullback and a Cronulla Shark for 2023.
Woo, woo, woo.
So much more, but we have here today Emma Tonegato. Welcome, Em. How are you going?
Good, guys. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so pumped to be here.
Thank you for taking some time out of your very busy schedule to join us. But yeah, we're stoked to have you here, but we thought we'd just dive straight on into it. We know
I'm ready.
You're fresh off the back of State of Origin game last week. Tell us, how did you pull up and what are your thoughts? Because Corbs and I already had a go at giving our expert reviews on the game. But tell us, how did it feel out there?
It was good. It was a bit of a weird game, if I'm being honest. I think the scheduling has a little bit to do with that, which I know you guys touched on. We can get into that a bit later. But no, it was really good. My body felt really good going into the game. We had some big training sessions leading into it. We trained against the Bulldogs 20s team, which was really cool. So that was like a great hit out. And we were feeling super, super ready. And then when we kind of got into the game, I think the errors just really got the best of us, I think, for both teams, really. And the game was really stop-start and hard to kind of get a flow on. And, unfortunately, we didn't come away with the win, which was a little bit upsetting, but we're very lucky that we've got game 2. So,
Yeah, definitely. And you touched on game 2. So you touched on a few things that we want to talk about. The scheduling, we will touch on that a bit more later. But game 2, you have that next opportunity to come back. It's not like any other year where it's one and done. You have another opportunity for some redemption. What do you think that you girls sort of need to work on? So obviously it was a tight game, not much in it. But what do you reckon that you girls could work on for that second game?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we'd prefer 3, as I think most of the NRL community would, but that's all right. We're just going to go with 2. And it's the first time we've had 2, so we're actually able to analyse and move forward, which I think is something really great. So I think for me, when I watched it, obviously the errors, as I've already mentioned, was just ridiculous. And I think just winning the contact and maybe going through the middle a little bit more, just simplifying our game and really taking it to Queensland. I mean, I don't want to give away too much of the game plan,
no,
but
sure.
I think just win the contact, and then I think our fifth tackle options could probably be a little bit better. I know Queensland got maybe like 3 repeat sets, and we kind of didn't really get any, and I think that's really important in being able to build pressure throughout the game.
Let's actually talk about what you just touched on in the scheduling. So the women's game is very different to the men. Like we had not played games for at least 4 to 6 weeks, and then we're going straight into a State of Origin game, which is probably the toughest game that you're going to play throughout the year. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Because we get a lot of hate around the game and saying, it's nothing like the men's. Well, 1, we're not full-time professionals, and 2, we haven't played 14 rounds like the men have.
Yeah, I feel like we're in a really tricky space at the moment where we're grateful for where we are now, but we still need to push to be better. And it is a bit of a tricky line to kind of toe. But I think, well, for me personally, I would love to see the Harvey Norman comp fall underneath NRLW. So it's like a reserve grade. So if you don't get picked that week, you drop back and you can kind of play in your Harvey Norman team and then build the depth that way. Because if you think about Harvey NRLW, say you're in the squad but you don't get picked for the first few rounds, and then you get picked to play a game and you haven't played since April, like that's such a long time. And you might be young, you might get one opportunity and you might not perform your best, and then your confidence is shot, you don't get picked again, and it's just a bit of a disaster. So I think hopefully that's the plan in the next couple of years. I don't know when it's kind of going to come, but I'd love to see that. And then Origin is a tricky one again, because you want it to be around the same time as the men, because there's such big hype around the men, and I think that comes across the women's game. So I think it kind of needs to be at the same time, but I'd potentially love to maybe start NRLW and then have a few bye rounds, go into to Origin and then maybe back to NRLW. But
Yeah.
I'll leave that for the experts, I think.
I agree, because we sort of saw that last year with, obviously, the 2021 season got pushed back to 2022, and we played that 21 season at the start of the year. So NRLW was being played earlier in the year, which allowed us to go into, or you girls to go into Origin, having played at that higher level and that higher quality of footy, and you're used to that that physicality and just condition for that game. So personally, I think that's the way to go. I have heard a lot of people with the same view as well. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you reckon as well?
Yeah, I think so too. It's so hard to go straight into an Origin game without any matches underneath your belt. So I think it will get there eventually. But as you said, like, we're really grateful for the growth and where the game's at now, but there's still a lot to be done.
Yeah, and I think we could see that last year. As you mentioned, Corbs, like, the quality of the game was so high. And I think that's really opened the door for the 2 Origins this year, but then potentially may have taken a bit of a backward step with the game last week. I know I definitely wasn't happy with it as a display of the product that we're trying to create. So I would love for the next game to be a bit more professional, and hopefully everyone's kind of got the first game out of the way, and then we can kind of improve and put a really good display of women's rugby league on.
I think that's why this is important to talk about it, because hopefully people listening in who might have had that view that, there was lots of errors in the game, we'll be honest, and we've all spoken about that, but there's reasons why, and it's just the scheduling of it, and things can improve. So as long as people understand that, I think that they can, they can go forward and have a bit more understanding around where the women's game is, and just have a bit of more compassion for where we're at.
Yeah, well, I was also talking to someone as well, and they were saying it was such a good game, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. And I think when we've kind of cracked it and we're respected, then people will be able to make those comments and say, it actually wasn't a really good game. And I think that's like a sign of how the growth, whereas at the moment we're still like, it was such a good game, and I'm like,
just trying to be supportive of the game.
So I feel like once we kind of get to that level, then people will be able to actually make proper comments. And I think that's kind of where we're at the moment. It's still a little bit tricky, but it was still a really fun game, and there was a great turnout. It's always an honour to play in the Blues jersey. So it was definitely not all bad, and hopefully we'll just peak for Townsville.
Absolutely.
So one thing you just mentioned there was the turnout, and exactly right. It was a record-breaking crowd with 12,972 people there. I personally knew a lot of people there, and in particular a lot of the young girls that we coach. Yeah. I think there were 2 or 3 of the teams that we've worked with that, all travelled out from the Shire out to the game, which is really nice to hear. But one thing that I wanted to bring up with you girls is watching from home. You guys played at CommBank Stadium. It's a huge stadium. Watching, it didn't look like there were that many people there. Yeah. What are your thoughts? Because would you guys rather be playing at somewhere like a suburban, oval, where like North Sydney or Shark Park or Leichhardt, that sort of place where you're going to pack the stadium out, or at a stadium like CommBank and what Towns was probably going to be like as well, where there's not as many people because we're not feeling it yet.
Yeah, it is a really tricky debate, and I think everyone has their own individual perspective. I guess for me, I would much rather play maybe like an opener to the Origin game. I think that would be sick, and I think a lot of people that are already going to go to the men's game are just going to come earlier. So I feel like there should be a good crowd for that, but if that's not an option, I'd love like an afternoon game so all the little girls can come and bring their families. Like, I know my nephews and nieces couldn't come because it was so late, which was really sad because they love watching me play. But I think, maybe a bit of a smaller ground on like a Saturday afternoon or something like that, so we can really get all the families out there. I think that'd be great. I mean, I know obviously the Thursday night TV is what they're kind of going for, so I understand that side, but
that's super interesting, because you got to be specific to the women's game, right, and understand what the demographic is. It is lots of young girls, lots of families that come out. Interesting to hear that you would like to play before the men's State of Origin. I think that would be epic as well. I remember when I played in my first State of Origin, it was at North Sydney Oval, and that was a standalone, and I love that dynamic as well. Yes,
same.
And I frothed that. That was awesome. But it would be cool to experience and at least just trial it to see what it would be like to play before the men's State of Origin. I think timings could be tough, people getting there from work and things like that. But why not just give it a go,
epic.
right?
Yeah, maybe we can do a bit of both and see. But I think, yeah, just in terms of the crowd, I do agree with you, Kiana. We aren't really at the point we're going to sell out a big stadium. So we may as well, change it up, whether it be before the men or a smaller stadium. I think that vibe would be incredible.
For sure. And just on that, like, there's so much growth in the popularity of the women's game. That comes down to, NRLW, as soon as that sort of kicked off, that sort of boosted everything. And then Women's State of Origin is sort of the pinnacle, the best of the best in Australia. Yeah. And I do some coaching at some schools, Endeavour Sports High. I remember after I coached on the Thursday and all the girls like, Miss, are you going to the game? Like, they were all going out with their clubs as well. Yeah. So there's so many people out there. But we just found some stats for TV viewing. Yeah. And it's some pretty incredible stuff. So I'll just rattle off a few here I've got in front of me. Women's State of Origin total TV audience grew 43% year on year. So from 2022 to this year, 43%. That's huge. It dominated in both Sydney and Brisbane with total people and all key demographics. And it was Channel 9 took out the top 4 live stream programs on that day against all other broadcasters, and it is State of Origin was leading the way at number 1. So it was the most that people were tuning in to watch.
And I haven't heard them.
Yeah, so it's just crazy. And obviously, as you spoke about, Thursday night, prime time, people are at home watching if they're not at the game. So just pretty incredible that there's so much interest around it, and that's what we want, right? And that's only going to get bigger over the years, hopefully. I'm sure it will with the product continuing to improve. But just, testament to Women's Rugby League in general, but the product that you girls are doing, it's awesome.
Yeah, well, we're all doing.
Yes.
Now, Em, you mentioned during the week that you picked up a little bit of a cork.
Yes.
How's that going? And when did it actually happen in the game?
Yeah, so it was just 10 minutes to go, I think, around them. But, I think someone just landed on my quad. So I think we all know corks are really, really tricky. And it's hard because it's like you haven't torn anything or you haven't pulled anything, but they're so painful. And I know you guys can probably agree with me. But, it's just been a tricky kind of transition back to the Sharks because I haven't really been able to run properly. Just trying to be cautious of... It's a balance again between, wanting to train for the Sharks and with that season coming up, but also wanting to prepare for Origin too. So, it has been a little bit difficult.
Our Sharks girls are backing you 100% anyway. We know that your focus for now is on Origin Game 2, and we know that you'll be ready to come back as soon as you finish with that. So no pressure there. We got your back. But let's chat about pre-season. What are your thoughts? Obviously, first year starting with the Sharks. It's the inaugural team for the club. What are your first impressions of the club so far?
Yeah, it's been interesting transitioning, but everything's been so exciting so far. And I'm actually working for the club as well, so I'm in the office and I can just feel the buzz around the club and the girls, and everyone's so excited. And I was very disappointed to miss the first week of preseason as we're at Origin, but seeing all the photos of all the men's team welcoming, and I know all the staff came down and welcomed you guys, and that was really cool to see. And I just feel like there's a great vibe and the whole community is really rallying around the girls, and it's been a long time coming for Cronulla. So it is really, really exciting, and I feel like we've got a great group of girls that have kind of come together, and I think we've got a good mix of people, and everyone's kind of taking the opportunity with 2 hands, I think, and even just observing the last few sessions have been super interesting, and you can see everyone's focus and really trying to make their mark on the team. So moving forward, I'm very excited.
Yeah, we missed you last week, that's for sure, but then we got to spend Saturday together.
We did.
Do we tell Corb? She's the enemy over there.
I know.
Hey, I'm a shark at heart too, guys.
I was so hoping you were going to come, and then I was like...
It was a really tricky one because, if, Sharks had that license from the very start, it could have been a very different story. But, I feel like I would have loved being a part of that culture. I'm obviously good mates with all of you girls. So, but... we'll be enemies for a little bit longer.
It is, and the decisions are hard too. I had to leave the Dragons too, so we've all had to kind of make those tough decisions, but we obviously respect it, and you got to do what you got to do. It's
exciting for the game, right? A bit of movement, and people sort of going everywhere. I love it.
Yeah, round 1's going to be interesting, and I think with the season ahead, in the past, you kind of, if you get off to a bad start, you kind of don't really have time to catch up, so to speak. Whereas I think now we've got that longer season, so there's going to be a lot of improvement across the season, which is, another kind of interesting aspect to the game.
For sure.
So we'll just quickly touch on our team building day because there's a couple
Yep.
of topics in there that I think are pretty fun in that we want to speak about today. But we had a really cool day on Saturday. We pretty much did like an amazing race.
Yes.
Sort of thing. So we spent the whole
Through
morning.
Cronulla.
Yeah. Spent the morning like
Fun.
setting our values and our standards and kind of building what we want to create as a team there at Cronulla. And then after that we did a bit of an amazing race. As Em mentioned, we had to go all over Cronulla, didn't we?
We did. I was driving because I couldn't really run very well. But I think it was interesting. Everyone was like sprinting around Cronulla in their kit. So all of the people were kind of stopping and staring and asking what was going on. But it was really cool. We were like put into teams and had to kind of get a clue. You had to do a challenge and then get a clue and figure out where the clue was going and then run there and then do another challenge and kind of all go around Cronulla, which was really cool. The worst one was definitely the eating challenge for our group.
Yes. What did you guys get?
Or you had to eat something.
Yeah.
Yes.
So one group got Vegemite, one group got cinnamon, one group got Tim Tams, which was an absolute stitch up.
Trust it was my group.
And then we got Wheat Bix and we had to have two dry ones each. And
Is that like before you get like your next card?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's so fun.
And we lost so much time there. And I felt so bad because I wasn't running, but I was the worst at the eating challenge. And I was like gagging.
Letting your team down there.
I know, and all the girls were so puffed and just smashed theirs. And I was like, sorry, guys.
That is so funny. Yeah, my team was very lucky. We chose the box that had the Tim Tams, so we didn't have that problem there, and we smashed them in like 5
You
seconds.
guys were in and out. Yeah, I hadn't even started.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
That was fun. So I think that was the last challenge. Oh no, we had 2 more challenges before that, didn't we? Actually, so we ate out whatever it was we had to eat. We had to run down to Tonkin Oval in Cronulla, where we did another challenge, which was a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, we had to get over like a rope without touching the rope. But you could only go over once you've gone over. Like, so you couldn't go over and grab anyone.
help
So
people.
people were just
Gotcha.
like launching themselves over or like standing on people's shoulders and heads. And it was
So like the rope was
It
tied
was
to
a
two.
high one. Yeah, 2 poles, a rope. I've got to say, what team were you in actually?
I was in blue.
So were you guys on the left-hand side poles or were you on the right-hand
The
side?
right, yeah.
Okay, so you were stitched up with me.
Yeah.
Our rope was like all the way up high, and then on the other side it was like gaping
Saggy,
down.
yeah.
So they probably only had to go half the height.
So how does the last person get over the high one?
Just
Just
had to
run
like
and
go
jump.
for it. Pretty much.
Like how high are we talking? Like as tall as us?
close to it. Maybe
Big
like my
close.
neck.
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It was not like a short jump. It was like you need to
Couple
go.
of injuries into
It was pretty
pre-season.
hectic.
It was.
It was so hectic. One group I saw were like trying to like put their arms together and link, and one girl just like launched over and they tried to like grab her in the
Gotcha.
landing.
Oh my
Did not
gosh.
work out
How
at all.
fun. That's such a good
Dangerous.
idea, especially like in your kit, hopefully creating a little bit of buzz around the Shire.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then we ran over to, what was it called?
Gunnamatta Bay.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
And did like a little outrigging,
Race.
yeah.
Was it? Yeah, it was
Kind
a
of
race.
a rate, like a team bonding. We had to like row.
Yep.
It was actually so hard. We did like a kilometre out and a kilometre back.
Far out. That's like on the rowboat sort of
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah,
Outrigging,
is it Waka Ama?
Yeah. Girl, look at
Yeah,
you.
nice.
That's
Em.
the
Thank
molding
you.
term.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was like an outrigging boat, right?
Yeah.
So I think there was 5 girls and then one of the ladies from the club who were
Yeah.
taking us through. They were like our steerers at the back guiding us to make sure we weren't whacking into
Yeah,
the
thank
ferries
God
and
they
the
were there.
boats. But it was
so
fun.
much
It was challenging but fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then we went back to the offices and then we shared like a meal together and you had to kind of bring a plate of food from where you're from. So
And this is what I wanted to speak about.
Let's talk about it.
So, okay. So the instructions were bring a plate that
Yes.
represented like your culture or where you're from to share.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So tell me if you guys agree with me or not. But would you consider a plate of fairy bread with 4 pieces of bread like okay to share?
look, there was a range of options on the table, I'll say that. But yeah, there was a lot of fairy bread, we'll put it that way.
Okay. what
Em's
about-
being nice. That's an
being very nice.
absolutely not.
Okay, it's a big no from us. What about another option? A Tupperware container. Not going to say names, but a Tupperware
Name
container
and shame.
with a risol, a spoonful of potato, and a spoonful of veg.
That sounds like a bit of meal prep.
Well, I think she just thought it was lunch for herself. So she just bought her own food.
100%. So
That's cool.
Well, I can't do much better because I bought mine from Woolies. I didn't know who'd make it. So
That's okay.
I felt bad.
I probably would have done the same.
So
All
I
good.
reckon we need to help out our white friends or our
Yeah.
Pakeha friends, our Palangi friends. If you have not been told what a plate is,
Yeah.
do not bring what we just spoke about, okay?
No.
So if you're asked by a Māori or an Islander to bring a plate of food,
Yep.
it is not 4 pieces of
Yeah.
very It is not a meal
No.
prep for yourself. It should be something that is adequate to serve at least, I'd say, 10
to
plus.
15.
Yeah.
10 to
Yeah.
15 plus.
And I know, like, that is a hard thing because it's always like, how many do I cater for? Like, but you always go a little bit more than less.
Yeah.
But it might just be like the terminology because obviously whoever brought the Tupperware container for herself, when they were told bring a plate, were like, okay, a plate for myself. But I feel like a bit of education. When you bring a plate, it's like for the table to share.
If a Māori or a Pacific Islander asks you to bring a plate,
Yeah.
just take it that way. It's not literally a plate. It's not something for yourself. It's something to share. But I think
That's hilarious.
Australians might say potluck. Is that something that you've heard of before?
I have no idea. Probably.
Potluck.
Yeah,
potluck.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing.
And that's like bring something big.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
some examples of what the other girls brought.
Yep.
A big pot of chop
Chop
suey.
suey.
A big
Did you like
thing of
pot chop suey?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
like
I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Nice.
some
There was
raw
the drink.
fish. Yeah, otai
Oh,
from some of the
nice.
Tongan
Yum.
girls, which was
Yeah.
really cool.
The bread, fry bread.
Fry bread. I think it was keke, like one of the Tongan girls brought like these little donut sort
Yeah.
of ball
Yeah.
things, which was
Let's just
a
say
hit.
all the islanders bought like the main meals, and then all the Aussies bought like
A little
Intact
side
cookies
dish.
or cookies,
Yeah,
fairy
some
bread.
dessert.
Yeah,
That's cool.
but
you
yeah,
say
mine wasn't very good either. So let's not bring that up.
What was yours then? Let's just
Well,
let the world
I
know.
got out of Origin camp that day. Okay,
Okay,
so
we'll
I
excuse
didn't
you. We'll
have
let you off.
time. I actually bought a tiramisu from Woolies, and then
that's good.
the morning of I forgot it.
Okay, that's a fine.
So then, no,
I'm not part
I
of
waited
this.
at Woolies until it opened at 7 and I
did
ran in
say
and I bought profiteroles and
Yeah.
then I bought them. So.
Oh, yum. I love profiteroles.
That's excusable. And you've just come straight from Origin camp,
Yeah.
so that's fine.
put
But
in
for the
some
girls
effort.
that
Thank you.
didn't, you know, you need to be
the
better.
4 slices of fairy bread
Should
got
we
me in
just say
stitches.
who it was? Actually, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know.
Yeah.
Because I posted it. I made sure of that. But anyway, grateful for our Islander girls on Saturday.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for them, we would have just had a lunch full of bickies and cake and fairy bread.
Literally.
That's the best.
Anyway, Arj, what's your pre-season been like? Any fun stories?
No, bring a plate
Oh.
meals, which I mean, it's funny. I think that would be like a really good team building, like bring everyone together, have a meal together. But no, over there,
guys don't
they
do
like
that
to
in the
take us
East.
out to dinner.
Oh, must
They
be
like
nice.
to wine and
Really
dine us.
steaks.
Things are different over there.
Make me
No,
sick.
I'm just joking. But
Go to Toddy's to
Yeah,
exactly.
cheeky
cocktails.
toddies.
Oh, gosh.
No, pre-season's been good. Nothing to report here. Just getting stuff done.
Well, you didn't get any chop suey or raw fish or
We
fried bread like
didn't.
we did.
I am
so-
jealous of that. I am very
Unlucky.
jealous of
No,
that.
it was really cool actually, and we have a few girls that have relocated from New Zealand actually, so it was nice to kind of hear their story.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was really fun.
Amazing. So, another topic. So, you've obviously one of the best fullbacks in the game. We've been hearing, but would love to hear it straight from you about these rumours of a positional change. Can you tell us about what that is and how you're feeling about it?
Yeah, so, well, I'm going to try playing in the halves in 5'8". So, kind of when I was talking to the Sharks, they were like, no, we see you as a 6. We want you to be our 6. And that was kind of the discussion. And they really backed me in that positional change, which gave me a lot of confidence and was kind of like part of the reason I went there because they were just so sure about it. And I think playing last year, I kind of found myself, once I got to know the game a little bit more, obviously, I found myself doing a lot of the organising and wanting to get my hands on the ball a lot and was kind of getting a little bit frustrated, just like getting it out the back of everyone and just kind of getting slammed.
Yeah.
So it was kind of always in my head, I guess, to go that way. And then when I was talking to Tony and he was like, no, we back you, you're our 6, like you're going to be amazing. It just kind of really got me over the line and I think I'm really excited. There is a lot to learn, but yeah, I'm sure we'll kind of get through it all. And we've just been kind of going over the basics at training, but I'm excited to kind of start moving into a little bit more shape and being able to kind of get my head around that. But
awesome.
yeah, I love defending in the front line anyway. And I've played a little bit of lock now, which is so random. But
cool.
yeah, so I played there at World Cup, and then the last few games at Steelers I played lock as well. So yeah, I love being in the front line, which is really exciting. So hopefully it goes well.
I'm so excited to see you there. I know what you mean, like also having the similar playing fullback and in the in 5'8" as well, and just wanting to get your hands on the ball a bit earlier, not just always being either a support runner or sort of that sweeping run.
Yeah.
And it's great that you've got, you know, coaches that are confident and backing you, and that must fill you up with confidence too. Let's just take it back a little bit. So you actually played rugby league before you played rugby sevens.
Yeah.
So what year did you start playing rugby league originally?
I think it was about 2011.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you played in the 2013 World Cup as a fullback?
I was on the wing then, actually.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So I played club at fullback with Sammy Hammond. She was 6, and then we went to World Cup. They did a bit of a shuffle, so she moved to fullback, and then I just jumped on the wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little baby. I think I was like 18. I was still in year 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I was kind of in year 12, I started playing sevens as well. Obviously, we know it was announced to be in the Olympics, and they were kind of doing a big recruitment drive, and I got asked to play sevens, so kind of like played schoolgirls, and I played like Youth Olympic Festival and stuff like that while I was at school. And then, yeah, kind of debuted for the Aussie team in year 12 as well. I didn't really do much school that year. And then 2014, January, they went full-time, so they offered me a contract. Like, it was nothing. But at the time I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't really want to go, to be honest. I like remember being like, no, I just want to play league. I want to play league. And my parents sat down and we like kind of did a bit of a review of my life, I guess. And they were like, what are you doing? Like, you can get paid to play. Whereas at the time there was no NRLW, like absolutely nothing in the league space. So yeah, I kind of made the jump across to sevens and then was there for 8 years.
And so there was no rugby league even in schools then, was there?
No,
opportunities
pretty
to
much
play?
nothing. Well, that I know of. I just played for Helensburgh in the Illawarra comp. And then I played like Illawarra and then the State of Origin, but it wasn't really State of Origin.
Yeah.
And then Jillaroo. So yeah, that's literally all I played. I didn't really play anything at school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a random situation. I think it was just really early in the growth of the game, and it was probably a bit of a change of the guard, I guess, between like the older girls that had played for so long and paved the way for us, and then there was like the younger girls like me and Sammy and stuff that were kind of, I guess, like the faster, fitter kind of generation kind of coming through. And it was just like, yeah, that little bit of a change of the guard. And yeah, it was a bit of an interesting one. I remember, yeah, just playing, and all the girls would tell us like the stories of how they, you know, had to pay to be there and sell their car and had gone through so much, and we were just kind of like, ooh, like we don't know.
Yeah.
Like I have known nothing. So I think, yeah, being able to kind of be a part of that and then see the game now and come back to it, it's just ridiculous and how much changed. So it's really cool to see.
How was your time away with sevens? Is there any major or big differences that you see between the two codes?
Oh, 100%. I think the whole game's different. And yeah, so I was with sevens for 8 years, and we were classified as full-time professional. I mean, we weren't paid very good at the start, but we got there in the end, which is good to see. But yeah, we trained, you know, 4 or 5 times a day in the middle of the day. So we didn't have other jobs or anything, which was so cool. And I think a lot of the success I have now is because of that, and being able to train full time and be in the gym and do conditioning and like learn how to be a professional athlete. But yeah, I loved my time in sevens. Honestly, it was the best. Like, we traveled the world. We had so much fun. Everyone relocated from, you know, different parts of Australia. So we were all like best friends, hung out together all the time, probably too much, but it was really cool. But I think the biggest differences for me in sevens, you kind of play, say, every month or so for like 6 months of the year, but it was always overseas, so your family could never really watch you. It was at like 3 a.m. No one was really like watching, and it was obviously that tournament format, so you played like 6 games over 2 or 3 days. And you kind of, once you'd finish that, then you'd have like a month till the next comp. So
Yeah.
I kind of found that frustrating. And that's the thing that I really love about league, is that you play week in, week out. And, you know, you might not have the best game, you review it, and then you get another chance the next week, which I love. So yeah, that's probably one of the big differences for me. But also, I think the ruck, like when I first came to league, I would like tackle and just like release and just get up and get to marker. And everyone was like, what are you doing?
Stay on.
Stay on, 100%. So like the wrestle, slowing it down, and kind of like that whole thing took me a little while. I mean, I was at fullback, so I didn't do that much tackling. But yeah, I think that was like a really different part of the game for me.
What inspired your move to come back to rugby league?
Great question. I think I just got to the point in sevens where I'd kind of not fallen out of love with the game, but didn't have the desire to put myself through the training that was needed. Yeah. Like I found myself kind of resenting training, and I didn't want to go to the training, and I hated it. And I was like, oh, I just don't want to cry today, and I don't want to like die, and I don't want my body to be sore.
Crunning.
Literally. And I feel like when I was having those feelings, I was kind of like, oh, I'm just not really sure. And then I actually did my shoulder for the third time. It was in February, before the Olympics were in, I think, July. So it was like 4 months out. And I took some time at home. Obviously, I couldn't drive, so just kind of hung out at home for a bit. And I like really was like, oh, do I want to even go to the Olympics and try? Ended up seeing like a sports site, because I was like just really struggling, obviously with the injury, because I've had 3 shoulder ecos on the same shoulder. So was kind of struggling with that. And then like motivation, and then, yeah, just kind of didn't know what to do. And one of the really cool things she did, she was like, when you're like 75, like when you look back, like, are you going to be like, oh my gosh, why didn't I just try and go to the Olympics? Like what are you going to lose, kind of thing. So she like really helped me through that decision. Ended up coming back, making the Olympic team. And then, yeah, I remember being after the final, or after we got 5th, I think. After that game, like everyone kind of like carried Shannon Parry off, because it was like her last sevens tournament. And I turned to my friend next to me and I was like, I think this is my last game too. Oh, but wow. I didn't really say anything, because I just wasn't really sure. And yeah, I just kind of had that feeling of like, I'm done, like I'm good, I'm sorted. I just want to do something new. And the whole time I was at sevens, like I'd seen the rise of the NRLW and just how kind of big it was getting. And, you know, I'd see you guys on posters and I was like, oh my gosh, like we never get anything like that. And I was probably a bit jealous.
Yep.
And I was like, I bet you like I'll be good at that. Like I want to try. And kind of always had that like bit of like, I want to prove myself that I'll be good at league kind of thing. So,
well, you definitely proved that.
Done that.
So yeah, after Olympics, actually we're in ISO, and I think that's about when I signed my Dragons contract, in isolation after the Olympics. I think, I could be wrong, but and yeah, that's when I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm done, I'm good, I'm sorted, I'm ready for a new challenge.
That's so interesting that like you just knew after that game, similar to like I remember Sammy spoke about that in her podcast about after the World Cup, she knew that it was her time to fully retire as well. I just want to touch on, you spoke about obviously the NRL is doing a really good job at promoting the women's game, and as you know, coming from another code, rugby sevens, we're seeing a lot of other rugby sevens girls, internationals come to the game. How excited are you about that? Yeah,
I think that's such a good sign of the product that we're putting on and we're creating. And I think being able to pull the calibre of those players, you know, we've got Nia Williams this season, and like Tyler Nathan Wong, and obviously Gail Broughton has just come over too last year. So I think it's just a sign of that we're really putting on a good product. And I think obviously the pay is great. So I think that's a really big pull.
For sure.
As well as like being on TV, being seen, like raising your profile, like all of that stuff just contributes to, I guess, wanting to play. Like, as I kind of said, sevens is like the middle of the night, like 3 a.m. overseas. And like, yes, your family and friends are supportive, but no one else really kind of knows what's going on. So I just think league is like, it's coming so far and it's so exciting to see. And I think all those girls that are coming over are just, honestly, I think they're really going to kill it.
For sure.
You mentioned the pay there, and for our contracts, it's only like a 5-month contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of money that you can get for playing for 5 months is unreal in comparison to what you're saying playing for sevens. You guys train like maniacs throughout the whole year, right? Like,
yeah,
it's almost a no-brainer kind of.
Yeah, I mean, the money in sevens is like, would be great now.
Yep.
But I think as well, you kind of, it is so monotonous and like it is just such a yearly thing. So I don't know, I think for somebody, say like Tyler Nathan Wong, like she's going to come over. I don't want to speak out of turn. Like I don't know her reasons, but I guess she's going to come over 5 months, like mix it up, like try something new and then go back to sevens, still be able to go to an Olympics and won't miss any major sevens tournaments. Like that just seems like a no-brainer. So I think, I think it's really great to see.
I think we'll probably see a lot more sevens girls coming over the next couple of years as well, hey?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. When you hear some girls that have come from that rugby union background, like there's Yasmin Clydesdale, a couple others that talk about like, obviously the sevens program is tough and you can see the product is awesome and that's that full-time professional training that's gone into it that can, shows on the field. So it's just about, being able to commit to that day in, day out. Because when you were doing it, was it a full-time thing? Yeah. So that's huge commitment. Plus the travel away from family. I could imagine that over so many years would get really tiring and just a bit tough. But it's great to have you. It's great to have some great converts over as well. So very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And touching on kind of being part-time with what we're doing with NRLW, it allows us to have other things in our lives, right?
So it is, which I love.
Yes, we thought we'd touch on that because we've obviously spoken a lot about footy already. Like, what is your life like away from footy? Mm-hmm. You mentioned your job, you're working with the Sharks. Like, what's your role there and what sort of stuff are you doing there?
Yeah, so I took a job with the Sharkies. I think what I was really looking for was flexibility. We know it's kind of tricky doing the juggle, and last year I was working full-time as an occupational therapist at a private clinic in Wollongong, and like my employers were amazing, but I just felt so guilty and I was like leaving early and like rescheduling patients, and I felt so bad. Like I felt like I was giving 50% to work, 50% to footy, and I really felt that in the second season. I was like probably quite drained, and so as part of my contract, I've got a job at the Sharkies. So I'm in the community team and then doing everything kind of in the disability space. So running like disability clinics and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool because it's still kind of in my realm, in my speciality of being an occupational therapist. So I love that.
I saw you post that you have a clinic coming up next week as well. Do you want to give that a plug?
Oh, sure. Next Wednesday, the 14th of June, we're having an adult disability clinic. So we're actually doing a cheerleading clinic first,
How
3
cool.
to 4.
Can we come?
Yeah.
3 to 4.
And then 4:30 to 5:30, we'll do like a bit of a footy clinic. So it'll be really fun, hopefully. Ages 16 plus. And then in the school holidays, we'll do one for the younger kids. So yeah, it's so fun, but kind of loving that at the moment.
That's awesome. And I think everyone can relate to the juggle of work and footy. Like it's a hard gig and you've definitely got to find something that is flexible enough that you can enjoy both because it can get really tough.
Yeah.
You're also engaged.
Yeah.
Have you got wedding plans? What's in the workings for that?
Yeah. Well, with footy, you kind of got to schedule everything around footy. But we've booked a date, so it's next October, so 2024. So it's a little bit far away, but Jamie's family's from New Zealand, so we wanted to give him and his friends and his family like a lot of time to prepare. Everyone our age is kind of like saving for a house or getting married or all those kinds of things. So we're like, let's just do it in a couple of years. And I hate being stressed and I hate planning things. So I didn't really want to be planning a wedding this year, especially with footy, starting a new job and stuff. So next October, it's like a couple weeks after the grand final if we make it. So
exciting. That'll come around quick.
It will.
Especially with so much footy on the calendar each year, I feel like
100%.
It's going to come around real quick.
100%. It's already getting out of control.
With your wedding, we actually saw a little post from a good friend of all of ours in Georgina Brooker.
Yeah.
You call her Spotty, we call her Rhythm.
Rhythm? Why?
Because she's got so much.
No. She's got the worst.
Oh, we love rhythm.
She's got heaps of rhythm. I think that's literally how it started, right?
Yeah.
When we
yeah.
first met her, we're like, okay, you got heaps of rhythm. And then it just stuck that we call her Rhythm now.
Yeah, and she's just a good time. She's always dancing, always having fun.
She's
But
the best.
yes.
So she's one of your bridesmaids. How good is that? Do you have any like stories or funny laughs? I'm sure you got plenty, but
We've
give
all
us
got
one.
plenty.
Give us something.
Give us something good.
Gosh, guys, put me on the spot.
Should we go first? I actually have a funny one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go
Let's
first.
go.
I remember, I think it was her 30th.
I was just gonna say that.
You tell it then. You go.
I think it was her 30th, and she just finished graduating as a police officer. No, not a police officer. Oh my gosh, I'm lying. Prison guard.
Prison guard, yes.
And it was like a bit of a joint celebration. And she had obviously had a few drinks, and she put on her uniform and came out and did like kind of like a solo strip performance slash I don't know, Magic Mike situation. Oh my gosh. I think I have a video of it actually. I'll have to show.
We'll have to find that.
She
and
kill us if
add
you
it
put that
in.
up.
But I remember she had her like certificate, wasn't it? She had like
Yeah.
a certificate
She
and
came
a
out.
badge. Like, didn't she drop
She
her
definitely had the hat too.
Yes.
Like she hadn't even worn it yet, and I think she like
dropped
wrecked
the badge.
something,
Yeah, she
and
did
she was like, "I'm
something.
gonna be in so much trouble."
Oh, and I definitely found her vomiting in the toilet. Like,
Oh.
maybe like 20 minutes after that, and I was like,
She had a good night.
That's
Oh.
the
"Oh,
best.
she's so funny." But
quality.
she actually was in the first year I played for Helensburgh. She went to school with my sister-in-law, so us three all kind of used to travel from Wollongong up to Helensburgh to play in the Tiger Lilies together. So just from there, we've just become great friends. And
Love
I
that.
feel like we've all got that in common because I also played my first year with Helensburgh, and it was
Yeah.
sort of like her and a couple of others
Yeah.
that got me involved. And then did you play your first year with her?
With
At
Sharks.
Sharks?
Yeah.
So we love you, Rhythm.
We love
Big shout
Rhythm.
out to
she's
you.
the
Fan.
best. She's the best.
Stay you. We love you forever.
We'll have to get her in one time.
Absolutely.
And we'll have to get that video up, Em.
Oh, I'll see if I can
yeah,
find
send
it.
it through.
I'll have to ask her first. She was so embarrassed.
We'll need to get her permission. We'll have to get her to sign a waiver.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
gold.
She's the best.
Oh, how fun. How fun. Well, we might finish off with a few quickfire questions.
Let's
Okay.
do
Bit
it.
of fun to finish. I know we've chewed your ear off
Hit me.
about footy, and so we've learned a bit more about you, but let's finish with some fun, hey?
Yep.
We'll
Bit
go
of
for
fun.
one for one.
Yep.
I'll go first. Who was your favourite player or athlete growing up?
I think in terms of rugby league, I loved Billy Slater. But I think overall, like I loved like Kathy Freeman, Liz Ellis, like those kind of girls.
Amazing. Sorry, just
Love
on
it.
that, did you see they're doing that that grandstand named after a
Yes.
female Aussie
Yeah.
athlete?
Yes.
Allianz, is it?
Yeah,
Something
Allianz. Do you
Yeah.
reckon that will be Kathy
I
Freeman?
hope so. I think I voted in
Surely
the
my
group
mum
just to
voted
be
Kathy
like Kathy
Freeman.
Freeman,
Has to be
surely.
her.
Surely.
Yes. Awesome.
Hopefully
Sorry.
we see that. Next one. Hardest opponent ever faced. League, union, whatever you like.
Ooh, I think I'd probably say someone from Sevens. I'd say Portia Woodman.
Nice.
Yeah,
Imagine her over in
she's
NRW.
a beast.
Yeah, sign her up, Sharkies.
Far out. No, she's going to be a chook.
Probably.
Oh yeah, show her the money. She'll be there.
Best player or teammate that you've played beside?
Ooh, gosh, guys, it's not really quick fire. I'm thinking I'd probably say one of the most talented people I've ever played with is Charlotte Caslick. She's incredible, but also probably Emily Cherry as well. I feel like she is just an absolute professional on and off the field. She's so inspiring, cool-headed, and just absolutely amazing. So, yeah, one of them too.
Awesome.
Love it. If you could be a professional in one other sport, what would it be?
Surfing?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Can you
like
surf?
it.
Not all. Like I can stand up, but that's probably it. Like
Yeah.
I used to do it heaps when I was little, but kind of once
That'd
I
be
started
cool.
footy and stuff, I just was too tired from training.
Feels.
I feel like we were always like wanting to be the cool surfy chicks, but
Yeah.
we're land
Couldn't
people.
stand up.
We're land people for sure. What would your last meal be?
Oh, definitely dessert. I have a massive sweet tooth.
Same.
Probably just like a nice brownie with like ice cream or like chocolate sauce, caramel sauce,
God, yeah,
something
that
like
sounds
that.
good.
Yeah.
Big fans. Most used app on your phone.
Instagram.
Yeah. Guilty.
Yeah,
Same.
Guilty.
What's your favourite song? That's a tough one.
Ooh.
Could be new, could be old.
Yeah. Song singer.
Gosh, guys. I'm not really much of a music person. I'm very bad.
Artist.
I know, I've
Yeah.
just got Beyonce in my head. 'cause
Yeah,
I've
we
been
go.
there before.
There we go. No wonder
to the
we're up
crew,
there.
yes.
We are
Yeah,
meant to
anything
be.
sing along in the sheds, it's my vibe.
Yeah, love that.
Your favorite TV show or series?
I'm really into Ted Lasso at the moment. I just finished the latest season, so that's an absolute banger.
I've heard that's good.
Yeah.
That's on my list as
Me
well.
too. I haven't watched that one.
And last one, if you weren't a footballer, what would you be?
Well, I should say occupational therapist because that's my degree, and I spent like 7 years at uni trying to get that. But yeah, just any kind of job that helps people, I think, is kind of, yeah. I love like the health industry and yeah, helping people. So something to do with that.
Love that.
Beautiful.
Oh, well, thanks, Em. I reckon we're going to wrap it up there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks so much for coming in. How good was our first guest?
Thanks,
best.
guys.
The best.
What a
Love
guest
chatting
to
with
have.
you.
Yes, thank you so much. I'll be seeing you soon at training.
Yeah,
Corbs will be seeing you on the other side of the field
Yes.
when we beat them.
Don't run at me. Don't step
100%
me.
surely.
So for all of our listeners, because there's so many of you guys out there, make sure you like and subscribe. Anything
Yes.
else?
No.
Share us. Get us some likes.
Yeah, and stay tuned for all our fun vids that come out from this. I feel like we've got some good content. to
Great
put from this.
content. Thank you, Em. We appreciate you.
Thanks,
Love
guys.
you, Em. Thank you.